Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor. I'm the man on the Southern Mountain, and welcome back. Now today, so it's the 16th of January today when I'm recording this, and Boris Johnson, man. I originally I was like, do you know what? I don't know what else I'm going to talk about today. I really don't. There was like I've got a list of videos I want to do. I'm going to do them. But there's one that I'm not sure. I've just got a slot, and then the more that I've seen throughout, like I heard that this of this story the other day, um, kind of when it was first unleashed yesterday, in fact, when it was first unleashed, and I just rolled my eyes because it was Boris Johnson, our foreign secretary, being a moron again. No real surprise. Um, but then I'm looking at more of it now, and it's escalating. His comments have been more and more ridiculous. People have been talking about it a lot throughout the day, and as a result, I wanted to just chip in on this because I've talked about Brexit before, and as this year, I don't think I'll be doing any of the month in review videos. I'll be at all. I'll just be focusing on individual stories as they happen. I wanted to take a look at this because this is just daft. Because ultimately, for those of you that don't know or haven't paid attention, Boris Johnson was one of the big Leave guys, and he was the one of the ones who was most proud of sticking the 350 million a week that we'll send to the NHS on the stupid bus. And in other videos, I've gone through the breakdowns. I've talked about how the figure wasn't particularly accurate because it's not just a gross figure. It doesn't take into account reductions. It doesn't take back into account the reimbursements and things that we get. It doesn't take back into account where that money then goes afterwards already. Because going £350 million a week for the NHS, well, no, but we don't send all that money to Brussels and then have some of it come back. The reduction happens before we send any money. The reimbursements and things happen before we receive any money. So a lot of that money is already benchmarked, is already earmarked for other projects. It's already involved in that stuff, and you can't start pulling it out. So the actual figure that you would get from leaving the EU would be much lower to begin with, and then on top of that, you've got the increased prices of further doing additional trade deals outside of the EU. You've got the additional expenses in regards to catering to different nations that we'd be dealing with, and the fact that we would lose out on a huge amount of potential supply from the EU, considering that they make up about half of our country's trade. If not more, in fact, from some of the figures I looked at, I think in October last year in one of the videos. But it's like he has now come out yesterday and said that, in fact, they lowballed it and it should have been much bigger because by the end of the transitional period, we're going to be sending them more money. And it's like, that's not the way it works. Firstly, you cannot just go, oh well, the numbers have changed, so now we lowballed it, because you're still taking into account a supposed gross figure, and it's not taking into account the reductions, where that money is already going, where you've already got other bits and pieces going on, and all of this going on at the time when the Tories have already continuously and systematically failed the NHS throughout the whole time that they have been in office, where now we are seeing people lying in hallways, lying in ambulances because there is nowhere for them to go into the hospital, where we're seeing students being drafted in to plug holes in the NHS that have opened up as a result of the NHS winter crisis. where we are seeing more and more privatization, so that the World Health Organization no longer regards our country's national health service as anything even resembling a national health service in anything other than its dumb name. And so as a result, the Tories have been destroying and damaging our NHS continuously and actively and aggressively, non-stop, with Jeremy Hunt as a health minister sat there continuing to do bad after worse. And it's not helping anyone, and it's all around the money, because everything in the world is all around the money at the moment. And so looking at this, the mind boggles at how this individual, who apparently doesn't understand like tact and politics in the first fucking place, who obviously can't understand simple economics and the simple side of just numbers, just maths, how he has gotten into a position of power within the ruling party, and he is the person that we are sending elsewhere, and who is having to deal with other countries on our behalf as our foreign secretary. Good goddamn why? How? It makes no fucking sense. And it like, this is why I wanted to talk to you guys about this, because I feel like it highlights a selection of different problems. The people who are looking at these numbers from Leave and from the Brexit lot have been lying. They have been caught lying. They have been caught misrepresenting information. You know, you've got the shadow Brexit secretary pointing out that the number seems to be misleading because of the way that it's represented, and the lack of understanding of where the money has gone is obviously not there. And then you've got all kinds of other bits and pieces just flying around, and no one's paying attention to the actual fact that the people who are involved in this, David Davis, our Brexit secretary, or Brexit minister, who has been caught actively lying, not once but several times, around the impact reports that he did, that he never actually did and didn't have. So the EU republished theirs to inform business. The EU has continued to be transparent, upfront, and straightforward, with as much information available as possible that they've been able to throw out in various different directions, including their impact reports. And yet our own government can't be bothered to do the work, and the person in charge of that particular area seems to be completely incompetent. Our Prime Minister just seems to be incredibly weak and feeble. And then you've got our Foreign Secretary, the person who will have to interact with these individuals, these different nations, to arrange these things, is sat there making daft claims that don't make the slightest bit of sense when you actually look at the numbers. And furthermore, he then continues to misrepresent them again and again and again, and present bogus claim after bogus claim after bogus claim. And it's a case of going, he even in the comments around it said, oh well, we're not going to need another referendum, we won't need that, we won't need this, it'll be fine, and we should tackle this all the way up until the transitional period, and then I'll be proved right. The thing that springs out to me is, by the end of the transitional period, we're going to be probably looking at another government that may very well, be it a Tory government or a Labour government, may very well include different people, different leadership, and may very well be left with a situation that they have had very little control over dealing with. And the people, the British people, will be left in a situation where they may very well wanted. We may very well have gone, do you know what, even if we were with Leave, even if we were completely on board with the idea of leaving the EU, we don't think Theresa May, David Davis, Boris Johnson and whoever else can actually manage it, so we want a second referendum to undo the damage that's been done so far. Because, as has been repeated time and time and time again, we can undo this at any point. The going back to as best we can what we had done before is always on the table until the final moment of the negotiations and the final moment of the whole thing. So in theory, we can back out whenever we want to. But there's so much fear, so much cowardice, so much focus on the emotions and what the British people want, not that they're actually consulting the British people. It was fine for them to consult to begin with, but not fine to consult afterwards when they had lied to everybody. And when they had been challenged on things and they had just gone, no, we don't like experts. We don't like people who are intelligent. We don't like people from around the globe, other nations who are trying to support us in standing firm with this union that we took a long time to become a part of and then have been only ever reaping the benefits from in large terms since we joined. And now that even though we haven't left yet, we have dropped down and down and down in the various league tables and the various places when matched up and compared to other nations that before we were working and producing on an even footing to. And now even today, within 2 hours ago, from the stuff that I've got in front of me, we had Scottish Tory leader Ruth Davidson pointing out no, she's not on board with Boris Johnson's daft claims, but then again she debated him during the referendum campaign, and she straight up accused him of lying at the time. She was much more political and much more kind of tactful in her responses this time, where she said, well, maybe he's seen more than I have because he gets to see the Treasury books because he's part of the cabinet and what have you. But from all of the information presented by economists from around the globe and from the government, the organisations and individuals that watch the government and the activities there, and from the current track record, I don't think I'm not on board with it. And it's like, oh, it's such a stupid, daft and broken set of things to start saying and to start doing, and it's madness. But what are your thoughts, guys? Does the money really matter? Is that something that we should actually be paying attention to, considering that was so much of the whole campaign from both sides? One just promising random numbers, the other saying we will lose a lot of that thing if we leave. That thing that kind of started to come true and is probably going to continue to come true after everything breaks down and after everything gets resolved. It's what are your thoughts? Because I'm sat here going, well, firstly, the thing that I would take away from this is that Boris Johnson just shouldn't be a member of the cabinet. He just shouldn't be a politician. He should have been sacked a long time ago. So should so many of fucking May's cronies, because they come out with shit like this. We're going to misrepresent numbers again, and this time we're going to try and do it in an even bigger way to gain more support. Yeah, that'll work. Whilst the evidence is that we've had people's loved ones sat in ambulances over Christmas because they can't be taken into the hospital because there's no space to put them there. Yeah, okay, so you're going to go, we're going old school sales pitch, old school marketing. Here's the pain, you're going to feel the pain, we're going to twist the knife, and then we're going to show you the right way. We're going to show you the solution and the resolution. That's what we're going to do. That's basic kind of sales and marketing stuff. What does the client need? Oh, well, we're going to go in and we're going to twist the knife on making sure that they know that they need it, that it hurts, that there's a hole there that they need filling, and then we're going to offer them the product to fill it. So Boris Johnson, after Christmas, has gone, right, well, everything has gone to shit with the NHS, and Jeremy Hunt's continuing to ruin it. Good job, Jeremy. But now we're going to make sure that we can put this out in front of all those people that maybe have been leaning back the other way. There have been polls coming out suggesting again another shift towards Remain from Leave across the whole nation again, and we've got a whole load of other bits and pieces here and there. It was a tiny majority that they had to actually win, and considering that we've had this fight against the government, Parliament even has had to fight against the government just to gain some level of representation and authority. You know, that sovereignty thing that Leave was trying to fight for so long. You know, that needs to be actually actioned. It needs to be worked with, because at the moment we've got a government, a cabinet, that wants to continually try and take it away from us, continually try and pull the wool over our eyes, hide things from us, and shit all over us. I remember when I had that very angry Leave supporter leave all those comments on my video. One of the things that he said was, "Oh, you shouldn't believe everything because it's I'm a man from the government and I'm telling you what you want." And when actually I have been espousing the opposite the whole time. And now more than ever, I go and take a look at the numbers. The Financial Times last year did a big breakdown of all of them. There are breakdowns all over the place. If you don't like the Financial Times, they are everywhere. There have been economics groups from the US, from Finland, from all the way through the EU, including their impact reports. I've had a glance at some of them. I've not read through absolutely all of the different ones that they've put forward. But again, go out, take a look, have a look around, find the right information, deal with the information correctly, in terms of like actually reading through it and seeing how it all adds up, you know, and then make your decision. This is the problem that I've had with every election and every other thing, like the referendum that's happened in politics and in kind of a lot of different Western countries. No one's talking about policy. No one's talking about facts and figures. They're all only messing around with who's who and what's what and which idiot said this and which person we like said that. And that's why we're in the shit state that we are in at the moment, where things are falling to pieces, where you've got some nut job calling various countries around the place shitholes without a thought for their interactions with those countries. And we've got another idiot over here trying to big up a number that was false in the first place. I mean, it's a madness. But anyway, guys, as I said, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on these lying politicians, the way that they spin this stuff on the figures, and especially if you're from the UK, you know, considering that this involves the NHS. You know, I had friends that were in over Christmas. I had family members that were in before Christmas and who had to have care continuing through and all that kind of thing in various different ways. And so, you know, we're between the news that's coming out, between some of the other stuff that's been going on, we've been able to see so much kind of negative stuff happen to the NHS, something that we were so good at, that we had to hold above so many other places, and that now we are moving towards America, where they can't even sort that stuff out, when the rest of the world has been enjoying the socialized healthcare that we have enjoyed for so long, and now we're moving away from it, and people are suffering because of it. You know, I'd love to know what your thoughts are, guys. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for letting me rant and just break this down here. And otherwise, I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video or found it interesting, please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care.